After he left the auction, Kevin was heading out to dinner with Phoebe, who wanted to thank him for giving her a Dream Lover necklace. But Kevin got a call from Officer Emmett, who wanted to talk to him about something important. So he dropped Phoebe off at her parents' home and headed to the Salix Leaf Hotel, where Officer Emmett told him that she wanted him to infiltrate the Myriads. She got up and walked over to Kevin. Then she grabbed him by his shoulders with all her strength and said, "Please promise me you'll help." How could Kevin say no to her? Okay, I promise. But stop shaking me. You'll break my arm," Kevin joked. "Really?" Officer Emmett asked in surprise. "Just tell me what your plan is." Kevin was starting to get a headache from this. Officer Emmett sat back in her seat and said seriously to Kevin, "Other than us and my plainclothes officers over there, only the chief knows about this undercover mission." "So what are the details of this plan?" he asked her anxiously. "It's very simple. In a little while, you're going to take a bottle of wine and walk over to the third man sitting on the sofa to my left. Follow him and then hit him with the bottle," Officer Emmett explained. Then she paused for a moment while she was deep in thought and said very earnestly, "Remember, you have to be convincing. After that, our plainclothes officer will arrest you and take care of the rest." "So it's that simple, huh?" Kevin asked in surprise. "We just need a reasonable excuse to send you to prison. But remember, I will make a lot of people have their doubts about you," Officer Emmett said calmly. "But you can be rest assured that the surveillance cameras over this couch have been cut off, so no one will know that you were talking to me." "Well, let's do it," Kevin said seriously as he picked up the bottle of wine from the table. Officer Emmett didn't answer him, but instead she quietly took out her phone. Kevin walked expressionally towards the man that she'd pointed at and said, "Sorry about this, dude." As soon as he finished speaking, he knocked the man out cold. Blood was flowing down the man's scalp. A few minutes later, several police officers rushed in and arrested Kevin, who was still swinging at the poor guy. Officer Emmett was frightened by what she saw. Kevin was too immersed in the role, and she was afraid that he would really beat the guy to death. By the time Officer Emmett walked out of the hotel lobby, Kevin was already on his way downtown for booking. Early the next morning at downtown General Hospital, Dr. Willow was pouring water for Alan and Susan to drink. Suddenly, several policemen pushed the door open and one of them asked, "Are you the parents of Kevin Williams?" Alan and Susan looked at each other, wondering what was going on. "May I ask what you need?" Dr. Willow walked over and said to the officer who seemed to be in charge. "Mr. Williams injured several people after getting drunk at the Salix Leaf Hotel last night. One of them may be paralyzed. He was arrested and is currently being held in custody pending arraignment," he explained. Dr. Willow couldn't believe what she was hearing. How could such a kind, generous person have beaten somebody so badly? "This must be a misunderstanding," Dr. Willow said nervously. "Mr. Williams would never do such a thing." "Are you his wife?" one of the officers suddenly asked. No, Mr. Williams and I are only friends," Dr. Willow blushed. "I can understand your feelings, but those are the facts. You can go down to the ICU and take a look for yourself," the officer said very seriously. The officer had never seen anything like it. It was a vicious beating. "Impossible. My son is gentle and courteous. He would never hit someone like that. You must have made a mistake," Susan informed him. "Sometimes family members are in denial. Can you please confirm that this is a photo of your son?" As the officer spoke, he showed them a photo of Kevin wearing an orange jumpsuit. Alan, Susan, and Dr. Willow were completely dumbfounded. At the same time that this was going on, Lily received a call from the police station. And when she told her mother that Kevin had been arrested, Dorothy almost fainted. It was one thing to have a useless son-in-law, but now he was in prison? How embarrassing! Meanwhile, Kevin was sitting in a corner of the prison yard feeling the crew cut that they'd given him. The prison was fighting an outbreak of lice, so they were cutting everyone's hair at intake. As Kevin sat there feeling the cool breeze on his head, he looked at the other inmate searching for his target. Finally, Kevin spotted him by the stairs not far away from him. It was Brett Stewart, the member of the Myriads that Officer Emmett had told him about. Officer Emmett said that he's pretty high up in the organization, but he doesn't really look that tough, Kevin thought to himself as he stood up and rubbed his scalp. Well, he'd gone to all this trouble to meet Stewart. It was time to go over and talk to him. As he was walking over to the man, Kevin was surprised to see that he was reading a book. How can I approach him so that he doesn't get suspicious? Kevin wondered. Just then, a basketball suddenly flew over Kevin and hit Stewart in the head. This made Kevin jump. Crap! Does this guy have enemies here? A big burly man walked over and picked up the ball. Sorry, man. I guess I threw it too hard. Merriweather? Kevin smiled bitterly as he looked at the man. He hasn't been released yet? Kevin didn't know was that Merriweather had already been released once since the fight at the Jones mansion, but he was such a troublemaker that he was sent right back to prison. Most people tried to stay out of jail, but Merriweather was different. He liked being there because he could be the boss. I'm fine, Stewart said casually like it didn't really bother him. Merriweather bounced the basketball on the floor and then threw it into Stewart's face, giving him a bloody nose. Are you looking for trouble? Stewart asked him angrily. So what if I am? I'm playing ball with my buddies. What are you doing sitting here and reading? Merriweather sneered. Are you pretending you've got culture or something? In prison? I'm disgusted by the sight of you. Merriweather then looked at Stewart, who was standing there holding his book, and shouted, What are you going to do about it? Stewart was burning with anger. He was used to being treated with a lot more respect. What the hell are you waiting for? Clean this blood off my ball, Merriweather said fiercely. You're starting to put me in a bad mood. Merriweather's shouting drew the attention of the other prisoners in the yard. They all glared at Stewart, and clearly they were ready to fight. All right, Stewart growled as he spat on the ground. Stewart knew that he was outnumbered, but right now he was only thinking about how to get through the 2 weeks he had left in his sentence. He could send someone in to deal with these guys later. I thought you were tough, but I guess you're just a coward, Merriweather said arrogantly. The prisoners were all ready to see a fight, and some of them even wanted to jump in. Your ball, Stewart said as he kept his composure and wiped the basketball off before handing it back to Merriweather. Merriweather snorted in disdain. He took the ball and bounced it off Stewart's chest. What kind of wimp are you? You can't even hold on to a ball? Merriweather yelled. What do you want? Are you sure you want a piece of me? Stewart couldn't stand it any longer. I think you're going to get whipped, Merriweather said as he punched Stewart on the chin, making him spin around and fall to the ground. Just as Merriweather was about to say something else, he heard a voice that was full of contempt. Merriweather, are you bullying people again? Who the hell said that? The big man shouted angrily as he looked around. Don't you remember me? Kevin said mockingly as he put his hands on his hips. So it's you, Merriweather yelled as he recognized Kevin. Merriweather completely forgot about his fight with Stewart and rushed at Kevin. Facing Merriweather's rage, Kevin could only shake his head. Have you already forgotten what happened last time? Kevin turned his body slightly to dodge Merriweather's fist. I can't believe you want to do this again, Kevin said calmly as he kneed Merriweather in the gut. In the next second, Merriweather was sent flying 10 feet away, knocking over a few of the prisoners who were watching the spectacle. Do you want me to help you remember? Kevin said with a disdainful smile. Merriweather got up from the ground holding his stomach. He almost threw up his lunch. What are you all waiting for? Merriweather roared to his men. A group of prisoners immediately surrounded Kevin. Please, gentlemen, I'm not looking for any trouble. I was just saying hello to my old friend over there, Kevin said in a calm and composed tone of voice. He wasn't afraid at all. Stewart kept watching Kevin with interest. Just as the group was about to attack, a prison guard walked over to them waving his baton. Is there some trouble here? I'd hate to see any of you get more time added to your sentences. Kevin raised his eyebrows when he saw the guard. He had a very confident attitude, and the inmate seemed to respect his authority. Merriweather's expression suddenly changed, and he got very polite. "There's no problem here, officer. We're just joking around." "Don't think that you can bully the new guys just because you've been here so long. No one causes trouble on my watch. I don't care who it is," the guard said very seriously. "I understand. Don't worry, officer. We're all getting along just fine," Merriweather said as he smiled and walked the guard back to the door. Seeing that things had calmed down again, Kevin turned around and walked back to the corner of the yard to sit down. When Stewart picked up his book again, he gave Kevin a long look, trying to figure him out. That night, Kevin was lying in bed trying to get some sleep after a very long day when he suddenly opened his eyes. He sat up and saw Merriweather walking towards Stewart with a few of his men. He was holding a pillow in his hand. "Not good," Kevin said to himself. Of course he knew what Merriweather wanted to do, so he carefully got out of bed. There were no surveillance cameras in the prison dormitory, so there wouldn't be any evidence. Kevin couldn't believe that Merriweather actually wanted to kill Stewart over a little argument. "This will teach you to talk back to me," Merriweather growled as he covered Stewart's face with the pillow. While he did this, his men held Stewart's hands and feet so that he couldn't fight back. He didn't have a chance. Kevin watched this but didn't intervene right away. He waited for about half a minute before he yawned loudly. "What are you guys doing in the middle of the night? Could you be quiet so I could get some sleep?" Kevin knew that most of the inmates in the dorm were awake, but they were keeping silent because they were afraid of what Merriweather might do to them. "This is none of your business. If you know what's good for you, you'll make believe you didn't see anything. Just go back to sleep," Merriweather roared. "Hey, are you okay? It was just a little argument. Do you really need to kill him?" Kevin chided him. Then he made his move. He walked up to Merriweather and the others and punched one of them right on the temple, knocking him out on the spot. "Let's kill this piece of shit right now," Merriweather yelled as he rushed towards Kevin. Kevin calmly kicked Merriweather in the chest. At the same time, he ducked every blow thrown by all the other attackers, moving through them like lightning. In less than a minute, Merriweather and his men were lying on the floor writhing in pain. When he saw Stewart curled up in the corner gasping for air, Kevin secretly heaved a sigh of relief. "It's a good thing the guy didn't kill you. Otherwise, I'd have come here for nothing." "How did you get so much stronger since the last time?" Merriweather asked in disbelief as he lay on the floor clutching his chest. Before Kevin could reply, a few prison guards who had heard all the noise rushed into the large room. When he saw Merriweather on the floor, the head guard was stunned. He knew that the man was a martial arts champion and that many of the prisoners were afraid of him. But the guard had never expected him to be beaten up like this by a new prisoner. "You caused all this trouble," Kevin said as he kicked Merriweather a couple more times. "That's enough. Behave yourselves. If I have to come back in here tonight, you'll regret it," the guard said as he gave Kevin a strange look. Then he left with the other guards. Kevin wasn't worried about Merriweather anymore. He was more concerned with Brett Stewart and how he could get him to talk.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.